Hello.
Hello, Ben.
I'm not going to ask what we're doing because you don't like it when I do that.
That's right, I don't. But what are we doing, Ben?
We're doing Docky Who, the story and the
We are. We're
engine.
yes, written by I don't know how to pronounce that.
A
Inua Ellens.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Obviously, this is episode 5, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. What were your initial thoughts?
Um,
Or what are your initial thoughts on the back of having seen it? I know you watched it a bit ago, but
I don't know. I think
okay.
my strongest takeaway is of all the episodes of sort of this era of Doctor Who I've seen, this is the one where I feel most strongly that it should have been a two-parter.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
will, for the purposes of character development and explaining some aspects of world building, etc.
Yeah, fair enough. I can understand that that would probably have been better as a two-parter. Yeah, fair enough.
What did you think?
This is the one so far that I actually like.
Really?
Genuinely, I was looking through my notes afterwards, and other than like a silly little thing, and it's a silly little thing that is always a problem in these sorts of circumstances. I couldn't think of a genuine issue that I had with the
Wow.
episode, and that
Rogue
I
and
mean
this.
there'll be pardon.
Rogue and this. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. What can I say? There's a few missed opportunities, I think, from this, but nothing that hinders the story. More, funny enough, more fan service stuff that they could
Mm,
have done that they didn't. But we'll get
mm.
into it all properly. Um,
Well, I'm very
yeah,
keen to hear your
this is the
thoughts.
first one that I've enjoyed.
I
What number was Rogue by any chance? Rogue Doctor Who.
feel
Was that the
like
fifth one as well?
it might have been.
Let's have a look, shall we? Just out of curiosity. Um, ba, 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 ba. I need to find the list of episodes. Season 14. It's the sixth one.
Ah,
Fifth one was Dot and Bubble.
ah, yes.
Yeah. Oh well, never mind.
Well, that's
So anyway,
that's really interesting, and I think you should take the lead on this because
okay, okay. So anyway, this is why you lead it. Um, so as the synopsis told us, there's a barber in Lagos. There's
yeah,
some sort of power going on, and there's a spider out for revenge. It's pretty much what I took from what it said. And there's something about stories being power.
yeah,
And stories are powerful in many a way. I mean, propaganda is a powerful tool, and it is just a story at the end of the day.
yes.
So I was going into this prepared for something. I hadn't read that until just before, whilst it was literally loading.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I'll quickly read that. Oh, okay, fair enough. I was ready for something. I had no real preconception about what was going on. It opens, as we know, with a someone getting a haircut and telling a story
Yeah.
about the doctor, about meeting the doctor after a forest fire and putting out some seeds, planting some seeds and all that.
Mm.
He intervened quite a bit there, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes,
Like,
it was when the barber was a boy, Homo, and he tried to put out
mm,
this fire, and the blue box showed up, flying in the sky, and the
yep.
doctor took his hose out and started spraying everywhere. Saved the day.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's quite. If this was he's got no. It's a good job he doesn't have to live by the Star Trek Prime Directive rules, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the doctor doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's a good job.
No interfering
My
with.
my thought at this point was that my thought at this point was that they were paying for the haircut with their stories.
Hmm.
Sorry, I made a note. I was like, oh, is that what they're doing?
Hmm.
Because that would make sense in this context. You could get more people that way, I suppose.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and obviously then we had the title sequence, and it was on the wall for a little bit, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
in the window thing, and I thought that was sort of all right. I wasn't too sure how I felt about it, and then it changed to how it normally is, and I felt a lot better about it.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I was concerned that at one point they were going to react to it.
yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't, so it's fine.
Yay.
Anything about that intro that I missed that you want to talk about?
Um. Well, not specifically the intro, but I mean, I would. No, not yet.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll get to it. We'll get to my point.
So we end up back with the doc, as we always do
Yeah.
in these sorts of situations. Cold opener, then the doctor's there.
Yes.
Typical rule. Belinda, at long last, was talking about getting home again.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased that was a thing. And then he had this, oh my God, I've just had a thought. And I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Is this when he talks about going back to the day before? Is this the opportunity?
Yes.
I didn't think about this.
That's where I thought it was going.
I desperately hoped, but no, still no clear explanation as to why they can't do that.
So they go to 2019.
Nigeria.
They go to Nigeria, as he said. Remind me why he goes there. Why that's a good idea for him. I guess it's a safe place, isn't it? It feels like a home, but
I think so. I can't remember what his explanation for why there was actually. Now I think about it. It was something he thought about. It feels he had this long talk, and it's quite makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But now that he is a black man,
yeah,
he doesn't necessarily.
There's a lot of places where I don't fit in as well as I did when I was Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, or any other white man ever.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a completely understandable. Ever so slightly political, but no more so than it needs to be.
Yeah, I like it because it's like a practical thing,
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of not particularly fun to go to, say, the Deep South on a fun adventure in the 1950s when, you're having to brush up against the police and general racism. So I guess he's hanging out in like Africa and more progressive places. I just want to say it's really nice to see Africa in Doctor Who.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of screen time. Really,
I was thinking about it. Just off the top of my head, a lot of the references to Africa tend to be like ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Or mummies.
Yeah, we had that mummy episode with on the train.
Yeah.
Murder on the Orient Express or whatever it was with Oldie, and that was that was a funny. They did the obvious "Are you my mummy?" joke.
Yeah.
Which comes up actually relevant to this as well. I do have one major hang up, but it's one of these things that it's because it's a time travel TV show that we have this hang up.
Yeah.
Why not get her home and then go hang out with Omo? I'm sorry, but there's literally no reason why he can't get her home and then come back later.
Yeah, I suppose that's the problem of like a long story arc where it's not we are on a quest to find the things. It's we just need to go to this one place, and we could probably do that by just jumping around a bit more. No adventures, just focus on this. And Belinda seems sort of fine with it.
But once he did his little spiel about what this place is to him, she's like, "Oh, go on, take as long as you need."
And she hasn't seen home in, I mean, at the very least, a few days.
Yeah,
it could be much longer.
A week, I'd say.
They could have been at this for months. Probably not.
She'd have been kicking off a lot more by now if.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get a proper look at the new barber, the guy who's behind all this nonsense that's going on.
Yeah.
Because it turns out there's this some sort of mysterious barber who's turned up, and he's there immediately made me think of Ruby Rod from Fifth Element.
Really?
I don't know how
I see that.
Fifth Element.
Yeah, I can see that.
But just the hair, I was like, oh, that's Fifth Element guy. I had to Google what his name was. But
he looks like the Valerian guy, also the dragon a bit.
Having not seen House of the Dragon, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, it's they sort of explain this whole spiel. The Doctor witnesses a story getting told, and he sees it presented on this window.
But before that, he's heading over to the barbershop and he sees these missing person signs, doesn't he? And all these signs saying "Stay out." And then he goes in the barbershop and meets everybody, and there's hugs and whatnot. And then
if you ignore every "Stay out" sign, of course.
Well, of course, that's just the Doctor reads that as "Come in, adventure awaits."
Yeah. It's like it's psychic paper that reads properly to us.
Yeah.
It's an open invitation to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he sees this story getting told. He gets all excited about this window thing, and then name drops a few of the villains that we've had in recent years.
Say Dalek.
Remember who they were?
I want to say Dalek, Weeping Angel, Ice Warriors, or Silurians, or something.
He mentions Ice Warriors later.
Yeah, he does.
But it's Cybermen at this point.
Ah.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah.
Almost got it. But no, he talks about having a story about Weeping Angels and Ice Warriors because for some god knows why reason they couldn't think of a different one to replace Weeping Angels in one of those circumstances. I don't know. But yeah, at this point, I was thinking, was this whole thing just a trap for the Doctor to get the Doctor's stories here because they know he's got so many of them?
Well, I was confused,
Okay.
as I was through a lot of this episode, but not necessarily. I knew what they were doing, but it raised a lot of world building questions for me.
Yeah,
It's sort of
fair.
esoteric.
Hmm.
I would have liked another episode to sort of dwell into that a bit more.
Yeah, but hence your need for your desire for it to be a two-parter rather than
Yeah.
a
So
one shot. Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
he somebody gets up and shows him how the story thing works, and the
Yep.
barber cuts his hair, and it seems like it's powering something, and the alarms sound in the TARDIS.
Yes, for some unknown reason
Yeah.
that never gets explained because we never see her mention it to him. It's like, oh, there's this alarm going off.
Well,
What the
he
fuck was that?
mentions it to her.
Does he?
Yeah, he mentions alarms in the TARDIS.
I don't. I must have missed that. I must have been writing something.
Yes, and I mean, I do like the whole. You sit down with your barber and you chat. I mean, I don't
Oh, I
obviously,
don't.
but that's what it's
I'm like,
based
well, I
on.
got to talk about.
And the African nations, the African people, it's a storytelling culture. I don't want to generalize it too much, but it is. So,
Racist. No, you're probably right.
so there's a lot of
Um,
cultural stuff in there, and the stuff with the spider. That has folkloric connections, and I recognise some of the gods that were name dropped later.
yeah, there's
Um,
I do want to. One of his fan service bits that I want to bring up
yeah,
comes in at this point, and that's that the Doctor demonstrates and expresses that he has been betrayed by Omo,
mm,
and this would have been a perfect opportunity for him to reuse the Capaldi quote. Do you think I care care for you so little that betray me would make a difference? Because it was such a powerful line at the time,
well,
and it is very much in the Doctor's general characterization, but it wouldn't really make much difference. He'd still try and save the day at the end of it.
well,
You know?
I watched this and thought this is kind of out of character for the Doctor to be angry about this because usually the Doctor would volunteer to stay to
Oh
get
yeah.
these people out of there, and he's pissed off.
Mm.
And I didn't like that very much. I didn't really like this Doctor
Well, what it
in
is
parts
someone
of this
has made a
episode.
place where he felt welcome, like home, not feel like home anymore. Feel like it was just he was being used, and that's I can understand that
Yeah,
reaction based on that.
yeah,
Hence why I would have expected there to be some sort of reference to this Capaldi style quote.
yeah,
But again, different representation, different viewpoints are based on our own personal experiences, perhaps.
yeah.
I've seen him feeling betrayed previously,
Mm,
whereas you haven't seen that episode.
no.
That particular episode you won't have seen. So,
Um,
but yeah, this barbershop's on the back of his giant spider thing.
well, hang on.
You mentioned it being on the spider.
I know, but a lady comes in called Abby,
Yeah, Abby.
and she seems to recognise the Doctor, and she does all the food shopping for him, and she doesn't like him very much.
Yeah, for some as yet unknown reason.
Yeah, and
I thought she might have been connected to a former companion.
yeah, I thought they were doing something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Doctor makes his own villain in a
yeah.
previous story. Oh, where we end up?
Doctor opens the door, and
Yep.
as he said, it's on the back of a spider crawling on a web in space.
Yeah, it's a web that he described as the bad guy described as the World Wide Web until the humans named something far uglier after it. And honestly, I can relate to that mood.
I know.
That honestly, I called the internet ugly, and honestly, he's not wrong.
Yeah, we're on it.
Exactly. And look at your face.
Oh.
Look at your face, and look at my ass.
Oh God, I can't tell the difference.
I wouldn't have gone that far, Ben. I'm sure you have a wonderful face.
Thank you.
And he can't see that I've got my fingers crossed.
Mm.
He can't see that I didn't really have my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
yeah, I wondered if Abby, because it is revealed shortly after this that Abby is actually Abena or Abina, who
yeah,
is Nancy's daughter.
yes,
Am I?
yeah, I I felt like I missed something here.
You may have. I just want to. I thought this might have been a classic Doctor story that I'm not aware of, where he
Well,
experienced something with a Nancy.
okay. So
So,
the villain, the new barber,
yep,
is asked who he is, and he says he's the gods, like
yep,
Dionysus and Anansi and Loki and
blah blah blah, all sorts.
etc. 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 And the Doctor bursts out laughing because he's met them all.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, I was like, okay, so wait, the gods are real? What's
Well, I mean,
are they? Hang on, what are they?
what is a god
Aliens?
if not someone of supposedly immense power and influence? And
But it
all it would
never.
take. He has met other gods in this season and last, so it wouldn't be that far of a stretch. I'd say. So
I
yeah, fine.
know, but I just sort of maybe Belinda should have said something. If you had a two-parter, you could have explained a little more about that. That they were, I don't know, aliens or just people of great significance or something like. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
Dionysus was in. I'm just having a quick look. Um, I've had. I don't know. There's all sorts of mentions of Dionysus throughout this series, mostly in audio and comic actually. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But there have been.
it's.
It doesn't seem to me that ridiculous that he has met some of these people
I know, but
personally.
it just sort of didn't quite gel with my understanding of the way this universe works. Like,
Okay.
there's no sort of explanation for what these gods are,
Hmm.
and it felt like I had maybe missed that maybe this was something that was brought up in the Chibnall era or something.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because we have a brief period of time where the Doctor changes face.
Yes, to the Timeless Child, not the Timeless Child, the Fugitive Doctor, is that it?
Yeah, as played by Joe Martin
Yeah,
from, I believe it's the episode Fugitive of the Judoon. And that is a Chibnall Jodie era story, which is part of the Timeless Child's rewrite stuff. But
what's the basics and who is this person?
this
It's a
is a
doctor?
version of the Doctor that the Doctor doesn't remember being.
Okay.
And it was not entirely clear. I mean, I feel like it's cleared up now. It wasn't entirely clear at the time whether this was a future version of the Doctor or a past version of the Doctor pre Hartnell.
Yeah.
Hence why it's part of this timeless child thing. I would say the fact that it's described as past tense means that it is. See, this is where it gets complicated, and this is a little bit of a rewrite or a retcon compared to what we have established in Chibnall era.
Yeah.
I just want to say I don't like that it's being referred to. I don't like that we're involving it at all because it was a fucking mistake to do it in the first place. But I am at least pleased that he's trying to build on it as opposed to completely cancel it out.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but it's part of the law now.
Mm.
You know, I'd rather it at least try and fix it rather than replace it, right?
Mm.
But yeah, the thing that happened was it's this whole the whole end of the timeless child thing was basically the Doctor has the potential to remember everything that happened pre Hartnell, right?
Right.
And doesn't take that option. And so this at least somewhat recollection of a story which we have to presume was a fugitive Doctor story
Mm.
feels out of place from what I remember.
Mm.
Because they shouldn't remember it. The Doctor shouldn't remember that story.
No.
Shouldn't remember having any involvement with this. And yet clearly does because of what was said.
Mm.
Right? So it doesn't quite sit right with me, but maybe it's possible that I'm misremembering something that happened. I'm pretty sure Tecteun or Tecteun or whoever it is, whose name you might recognise.
Is that the
Essentially,
companion from the movie, the Asian chap?
I don't know. It was the Doctor's mother figure.
Oh no.
I took it to be from the Timeless Child arc. There was some sort of thing where the Doctor was part of some like squad of people and like secret agent style situation. I mean, I know all the groaning you're gonna do.
Why does the
Bear with.
Doctor have to be important? Why can't
I
he
don't
just
know.
be a guy or a girl
Because
or whatever?
the result of the time to start arc is that the Doctor's the reason why the Time Lords regenerate.
Oh, fuck off.
Like that's the I know,
See, I
I
know
know.
this. I know this. You know, I've heard about the original ideas for the '96 Doctor Who movie, and it sort of dwells on that, and the Doctor's like got a half brother or something, you know, like that. But I
Yeah,
just think the Doctor is better off as just a wanderer
yeah,
who is, I guess, made important now because he's the last of his kind.
yeah. Which is fine. You can be the last. You can be a nobody and still be the last person. I mean, look at Omega Man, right? It's just a bloke who happened to survive, right?
I don't know who that
Effectively.
is.
Okay, it's the story that became I Am Legend.
Right.
The original story before I Am Legend, it was like the original film of it was the Omega Man, and he's just a bloke who survives it. He's just the last human around. He didn't.
Yes,
There's
the
nothing
last
special
man on
about him,
Earth.
from what I can remember. He's just the last one, and
Yeah.
that's what makes him special, and that's what the Doctor should be. Okay, fine, an alien who has this time machine, but ultimately he's not special amongst his own people. He's only special to
Well,
us,
no, he's
right?
pretty unremarkable. As mentioned, like, you know, I sent you that
Yeah,
image thing of Romana being like, you flunked all your exams.
yeah, and
You were an
that's fine.
unremarkable student.
That character makes sense much more and is much more enjoyable and relatable than the reason why my people have this characteristic that defines our people.
I
You know,
fucking hate
but
Doctor Who.
I know, I know. This my attitude towards it is very much your attitude towards whenever I mention that there's a particular character in Star Wars or something.
Yeah.
Oh, this person's got a name and 5 stories about them. Is yeah, that's my attitude towards some of this shit, and I get it, yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any issue with Jo Martin as an actress,
No, it's not her fault. It's
and
just a gig.
she did the job fairly well.
Yeah.
But it was a job that didn't need doing.
Well, yes, she pops up here.
There's this potential reference that this story is going to be finished someday, which fills me with dread. Because no doubt Shibnall will have to get involved in writing the fucking thing, because no one else has a fucking clue what he was thinking.
Something about winning a bet.
Yeah, he lost a bet, didn't he?
So
No, he won the bet. He wanted to lose the bet. He won it.
and then he abandoned her.
I guess. I mean, it wasn't entirely clear.
I don't
It
know.
was suggested that maybe from her reaction to Belinda, it suggested that maybe he told her to wait here and he'll come back.
Oh god, that's shitty.
She said something about, what did he tell you to do? Wait while he went away.
I'll just
And
need
it's
to
actually, no, I told him to leave.
go and buy
You know,
some cigarettes, and I'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere.
I'm gonna get some milk. Do you prefer it skimmed or, you know? But no, there's a thing, and then there's a power issue. They need power.
Doctor tells the story, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he told a story.
Oh well, he
about
previously told a
Belinda.
story about Belinda looking after an old lady and having to some dickhead doctor made her do it.
You see, I thought that from the woman being wheeled away, that implied that she'd died.
Yeah,
But it turned out 2 weeks later she's alive and
yeah.
hanging out with Mrs. Wood for a little minute.
Or
Yeah.
it's her twin.
Oh, it's a twin. I
He's
know what
just
you
fucking with her.
I don't know. It was weird, wasn't it? It seemed out of place that this woman survived because she was crying as she was getting wheeled away. And
Yes,
he's dead.
the implication I got was that she had died and Belinda had wasted her evening and was upset because it was a complete waste of time, and now this old bitch has croaked it.
Yeah, that's what I got without the hostility. And I know you didn't mean the hostility.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, obviously we get that little bit with Mrs. Flood saying, "Oh, I'm here to pick up my medicine."
Yeah, that was weird.
Why did the doctor comment on that?
And then a woman who looked like Angie off of EastEnders remarked that she needed to pick up her medicine.
It's not even part of the story. It's not the kind of thing that he would not have said. Oh, and Mrs. Flood walked by.
Yes, Anita Dobson, wife of Brian May, who was in Queen.
Did I send you that thing that says that that's who she is? She's just Anita Dobson.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, okay. And there was a comment underneath suggesting that it's going to be a suggestion that Brian May is in fact the next companion. I don't know, replacing Wilf as an astronomer or something, because he's got a science. He's
I know he's
Brian
quite
May,
brilliant.
so
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah,
Um,
fantastic. Anyway, I'm back on topic.
yes, and then actually I can't remember. You pick it up.
There was a power issue. They needed more stories, and they were trying to force the Doctor into the chair.
Yeah.
But something Belinda had said to Abby convinced her to tell the story.
Oh yeah,
was
she
doing the
does.
doctor's hair.
It's about slavery and how in the olden days, mothers used to do their kids' hair with maps or secret codes in them, so the slave masters didn't know what was going on. Which I don't know. If I was the villainous barber guy, I'd probably pick up on that.
I missed half of what you said because it cut out for me.
Oh right. Well, she does the hair, doesn't she, with the secret codes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and whilst talking about it, it's implied that that's what she's doing. And yes, it is weird that no one.
Yeah. If I was the barber villain, I'd have picked that up.
Yeah, it's fucking textbook. Listen to what they're actually talking about. Oh my god, it wasn't even that secretive that she was doing it.
No.
It wasn't really.
So
But
then,
no, I just want to point out the group turned on him quite quickly.
well, they had
They were
places to
very keen
be.
to force him into that chair.
One of them had their mum in hospital, and one of them had a kid whose naming day was coming up, and a wife. And the other
All had
one,
happened.
yeah, and the other one wanted to play some football.
No, it was a track star. It was 100 meters.
He wanted to do some running.
I just want to. The reason I made a point of saying about it was because that's the kind of thing that social change thing that you were talking about from previous episodes. Midnight. One of the things that you like about Midnight is the fact that there's this trapped people and they have the social dynamic change.
Yeah.
Right. I thought I'd mention it because obviously it's a thing that you bring up as
I
interested
do.
in
I
seeing.
do. Yeah.
The fact that you didn't means that maybe you didn't quite enjoy it in this one.
Yeah, it was fine.
No, it's fine. You don't have to have enjoyed it. I thought you.
Yeah. Yes, and then the Doctor and Belinda run through the maze, and the Doctor uses his hair map to figure out where to go.
I would have been humming the Crystal Maze music
Um,
throughout all of that. I would have, if it were me, I'd have been doing the Crystal Maze music.
Is that Crystal Maze or is that Fort Boyard?
It sounded Crystal Mazy, but not quite.
Okay.
Like you did a thing, and then you did the same thing again. It sounded like without doing a bit in the middle, but that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the Doctor was supposed to be a brilliant genius and wouldn't need to refer back to his hair map quite so often, but that's a very, 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 very minor nitpick and should really be disregarded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's clear that area isn't quite as it's quite a fluid area, isn't it? That he was traveling through, so perhaps that might be why.
Yeah. So he
The
runs.
fact that it turns later on into just a straight corridor suggests that it's not.
So he and Belinda run through this maze.
Yep.
And mazes do pop up in stories quite a lot, like myths and shit, which I guess makes sense that it's here in a story about stories. And they find the heart of the engine. And
there was it looked like a storage room at first. I was wondering how many Easter eggs were going to be in that storage room. And I made a note at this point of having seen a Hemingway book but couldn't see what the title of it was. And obviously I wasn't expecting Hemingway to come up later. But yeah, they find this heart thing in the engine. They open it up. It looks a bit like a Tree of Life style thing. I thought when it unfolded, like your typical tree in the middle of the savannah sort of look. But I mean, that's just me. That was what I took from it. Maybe that was intentional. Maybe I'm
entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
Yeah. Let me close that because I've accidentally opened up that picture of that.
And our villain comes in and tells him to get away, and then the Doctor overloads him with stories.
Yeah, he mentions having actually inspired the Hemingway short story, the 6-word one.
Do you know what the 6-word story was?
Baby shoes for sale, never worn, or something like that.
For sale, baby shoes never worn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's it is a short story,
which is better than the Doctor's. I live, I die.
No, I'm born, I die.
Oh, I'm born, I die.
But then he said, "I'm born" again afterwards. And I don't remember him saying "I die" again afterwards. I think it was
I thought he did. I don't know. You may well be right. That makes some.
He was talking about it being a 6-word story, wasn't he? It was so after the other guy's 6-word story.
Well, I thought he said he beat him. He did it in 4.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, we have this whole thing where the power's transferred over to the Doctor or something. It listens to the Doctor now. It's in tune with him or synced with him or whatever. And we see all sorts of archive footage bits
Yeah.
from previous Doctors. And I think it's funny when you can tell. Obviously, I'm not familiar overly with classic Doctor Who,
Yeah.
but I like when you can tell where the bits are from. And
Yeah.
it's Eccleston's that I zoned in on. Because they only did half the quote, didn't they?
What did he
From the line.
remind me? I did pick up on it.
The line that we saw was just this once.
Everybody lives.
Do you know what episode it was?
Well, it'll be the Dr. Chances, won't it?
Yeah, it
Just
was.
this once, Rose. Everybody live.
Yeah, and yeah, and then obviously we got Tennant's when he's on the Titanic. I'm the last of the Time Lords bit.
Yeah.
Because the visual made it clear that's where it was. Because he said it so many fucking times. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have necessarily known when it was. I didn't quite catch what Matt Smith's or Capaldi's were from.
Well, yeah.
I can't remember what Capaldi's line was, but
It's about a gun.
I didn't recognise it at the time. Oh yeah, no, it would have been from the Zygon Inversion, where he talks about when you fire a weapon, you don't know who's dying, or you don't know who's gonna kill. And it's this wonderful story about trying to stop war between these people, because to them it's just a button press, but to everyone else it's death. And yeah, that was it. But Matt Smith, he was just laughing, so fucking narrow it down a bit, you know. But no, it was nice to see archive footage because that's now I don't know if we saw all of them or heard all of them, but now between those, it's potentially 16 Doctors that we've seen. Oh no, I don't remember John Hurt being there, so we'll bring that down a bit. But yeah, that's a thing. And then it did a thing, overloaded it, and then it ran away.
Yes, and
that's it. That's the story.
Well, Belinda ran away, and the Doctor stayed with Barber Guy, evil Barber Guy, and asked him for his story. And Belinda managed to get out, and they all did, and they waited, and then the Doctor and the Barber Guy got out, and then it blew up.
Yeah, there's that shot of the spider thing trying to leave through the door,
which didn't make any sense.
No, but it did make me think of. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's a Futurama episode where they make boxes that lead to parallel universes.
Yeah, I am.
And the solution at the end of it is to sort of pull their box through the other box, so that they've got the box with their own universe in it. And this visual reminded me of that visual, and it's ridiculous. It's fucking stupid. That's what I thought of. But that's what I thought of. So, yeah. But yeah, everyone's happy. All the people run off. Barber's going to become the new Barber because the old Barber's going to go presumably find a woman with blue earrings.
Yes, he sort of forgives the guy who wanted to. Incidentally, his plan was to destroy the gods because he was the guy who wrote down all the stuff and kept them alive.
He wasn't getting credit,
and he felt a bit gypped by that. So yeah,
I mean, would it really cause that much hassle if we had less gods in our
history? No, I don't know.
Mean,
I don't know.
When has religion led to progression? Normally, it leads to. I mean, look at the Dark Ages.
Well, it's really more about stories, isn't it?
Okay, but like, I'm not sure it's necessarily going to things for us at least.
Well, I think
less war.
I think that. Well, there's redemption at the end for him and Abby, isn't there? And
he's going to go and do whatever.
Yeah, I feel like if another episode would have allowed some character development on that, because it's not often we get sort of villains or antagonists who aren't turned into sperm.
I think part of it is that people sort of they could understand why he was acting the way he acted. They didn't like it. Yeah, they could understand it.
It made sense, and he's going to redeem himself and be a barber full time.
Which is, I mean, apparently he wasn't a very good barber, so
it's going to be a downgrade, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose a bit of practice. So yeah, so overall, finally, after we've spoken about it, what are your thoughts now?
Well,
I still like it. I still think this is my favourite of the series. I think it's the one that I can genuinely say I like. Which is surprising me.
Yeah. Why do you like it?
I think what it is that I can't think of a reason not to. I can't think of anything about it other than the silly little nitpicky bits
Yeah.
that we've already talked about. I can't think of anything about it that I don't like.
Huh.
And so the logical conclusion there is actually I do like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not indifferent about it. I mean, I've talked favourably about some of it, and it's
Mm.
I can't think of anything major with it that I dislike.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's about as good as it gets these days.
I
And maybe I'm being generous by saying I like it, but I mean, I suppose I've got to be one.
Well, okay. I like the fact it's set in Africa, and I like a lot of the cultural stuff.
Hmm.
Right, the storytelling idea and things like that. That's good and interesting and somewhat compelling. The stuff with the mention of the gods sort of throws me off because it's so jarring in terms of my sort of view of the Doctor Who world and universe. And they could have maybe explained that a bit more or gone into it or just, had a line. And I think another episode would have allowed for some character focus and broadening and whatever. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I even after all that, on the whole, I still don't quite know how I feel.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think that the God thing should be quite a big deal for you
Well,
because when you consider that the considering what gods he's met or people who are considered gods that he's met already in the last series or two, I don't think it should be that big a deal that
oh
he's
shit, I
talking
pulled
about other
myself out.
gods. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Right, sorry.
I could before, to be fair.
Um, okay, I take your point, but in fairness, that's part of the pantheon, and that's something different. You
No,
know.
but they are considered the
Yeah,
gods of chaos.
yeah, but that's explicitly like a big deal, where they're just
Okay.
like name dropping fucking Dionysus and Loki and other gods that exist in our culture as real figures. And he said
I,
he was human, and now he's not. Like, how did he? I don't need much, man. I don't need much, but it just sort
I
of
just
threw me.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it should be such a big deal. Personally,
It's
based on what I know, and there's stuff you'll know that I don't, and stuff I know that you don't.
yeah.
You know,
Well, it did just sort of throw me,
fair
but
enough.
yeah.
Oh, the Assyrians mentioned. This is a listing as ancient Egyptian gods, basically,
Oh yeah.
and that's from Pyramids of Mars.
But that's sort
Seems
of
expressed to me.
yeah. I mean, I could sort of buy. I don't know. All you need is Belinda to ask the question, like, "Wait, what? The gods are real?"
There's one. Well, she's met some of them. She met Lux.
I know, but that's sort of different.
But is it?
Yes, it
It's
is. It is.
no, but
That's
it isn't though.
it is. It's different. It is because Lux is part of this different pantheon, and
Okay.
she doesn't recognize that name. It's not an established. It's different than saying, "Oh, also Athena is real." You know?
Okay. Do you know what a pantheon is?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Well, it's a sort of not really a family, but a group or a hierarchy of gods. I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so when we're talking about the pantheon,
Yeah.
what's the problem there?
What do
Like,
you?
do you see why I don't understand why you're hung up on it?
A bit, yeah, but I.
Okay,
You see
then
why I am?
no.
It just.
I,
It.
I feel like you're ignoring something that's established for the sake of making it feel
No, no,
right for
no,
you, and
no.
that's how I feel.
Okay, you're wrong. I
That's
think
fine. You're wrong to not accept this.
because the Dark Pantheon thing is created for the show and doesn't like exist within human culture.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
there are ramifications if you say, "Oh, the Greek gods were real."
Okay. Well, I mean, the Chronivores, which are basically the Greek gods or are named after them, are in some of these. You got Kronos in the Time Monster, for example.
I just think it threw me a little bit, and I just needed some coverage. You know, I just needed Belinda to ask the question, or someone to ask the question, and the Doctor to say, "Well, they're aliens," or whatever. I don't know. You know.
I don't think she'd necessarily get so hung up on it based on what
Well, she didn't, did she?
What I'm saying is I don't think she should have because of what she has experienced.
Well, all right. It just it. I don't know. It bothered me a bit. It bothered me a bit.
Fair enough.
So yeah. Well, yes. And then they go.
Shall we have a look at the teaser for next episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a year of, I mean, Interstellar song contest.
307th.
I don't know. I didn't catch the number, nor do I care.
And they've
The implication is that Rylan and a space cat person may have got sucked into space at some point.
Well, I think maybe they've just cloned Rylan. Or maybe he's a robot.
No, it's not actually Rylan, is it?
No, it's not. It's just somebody who looks uncannily like him, which is fair enough, really.
And was played by him. And I don't know how I feel about the fact that Rylan was in Doctor Who.
Because it's been about 307 years from now, at least.
Oh yeah. Unless this is something that goes on and we're just not aware of it.
That's true. This is our first time joining it. I don't know, but it looks like. Oh, go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
No,
on.
you first.
No, you go on.
All right. Well, we got a space cat person.
Yeah.
I can't remember what their species is called, but we got a space cat person as famously from New Earth.
Well, it looks like a different sort of cat.
I think they've just made him look better.
Mm.
Like they've got better prosthetics or whatever to make them look. That's all I think it is. But yeah, it could be different. I'm assuming it's similar.
Yeah.
And there was this bit where we had a shot of what looked like a load of people floating in space, as if they were dead.
Well, it looked like something.
There was a line about maybe he can still save all those people, and someone who looks like they may well be the villain said the word pop, which implication is that it's pop music. But
pop music.
I
talk
think,
about.
Yeah, by Robin, whatever it was.
Pop music.
I've got a theory now that there's some sort of air bubble, gravity bubble, whatever, keeping everyone safe in this area, and that's what the pop's for. That pops, and that's why I all get sucked up into thingy. I'm saying it now, and if I've spoiled that, either it happens really early or it's a fucking stupid teaser.
I think it's a musician who is a terrorist.
Yep.
And he's annoyed because he lost last time, or he wasn't selected, or something. I don't know. I just hope it's fun. I just hope it's a fun take on Eurovision and the culture around it.
Oh, I want it done with already. As a whole, I can't stand Eurovision these days. You know why?
You like, yeah, because of the gays. You like this episode. You might like the next one.
This episode. I have low hopes for the next episode. I had low hopes for this one, and I was surprised. I would like to be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't.
We'll find out soon enough. Join us next week where we talk about the greatest show in the galaxy or whatever. What it's called?
I don't fucking know.
Bye.
Bye.